It is said that the way you gain a man is also the way you lose him. That was something that Trump's second wife, Marla Maples, learned the hard way. He was still married to his first wife when she sneaked into his life as the other woman. They tied the knot in the early 90s, but she witnessed his departure for another woman 6 years later. After keeping mum for over 20 years, Marla finally spoke out about the real reason she and Donald broke up. In order to grasp the magnitude of their passionate love story, though, we must retrace the origins of their whirlwind romance. At first, Marla Maples and Donald Trump had a rocky relationship. In the late 1900 ADS, Marla met Donald Trump, a young woman from a small town in Georgia with big dreams of becoming a famous actress and model. Trump had already achieved fame as a showy real estate magnate with a golden mansion, an inflated sense of self-importance, and, oh yeah, a wife and 3 children. Their marriage to Trump wasn't the only thing that made them famous. It wasn't entirely shocking, for one thing, because many wealthy men did have affairs in that era. The extent to which their affair became public knowledge stunned everyone. Trump and Marla did not engage in any evasion. They seemed indifferent to the fact that they were the focus of attention at every posh cocktail party and news magazine in New York City. It was done by many. Ivana Zelnikova was a stunning Czech model who had fled communism in her home country when Trump was married to her. Rumor has it that she left her imprint on the golden furnishings of Trump Tower during her time as Vice President of Interior Design for Trump, in addition to being his partner. Don Jr., Ivanka, and Eric were the names of their 3 children. The family appeared to be the epitome of power and influence from the outside. However, despite the fact that the family was portrayed as beautiful and wealthy, tensions were already rising. Those fissures had deepened by 1989 as Marla and Trump's bond had grown stronger. Trump and Ivana's marriage was in shambles that year, and Marla made a significant entrance. At previous events, she said they had exchanged complimentary remarks, but something about that day on Madison Avenue felt different. The type of serendipitous encounter that alters one's trajectory, she remarked afterwards. That was real. Then Marla was more than a name in the throng. It was inevitable that she would derail Trump's deteriorating marriage and carve out a unique path for herself in his wild, news-filled universe. Donald Trump's private life went viral on February 16, 1990, when it made front-page news in the New York Post. The title gave it away. Marla Maples had boasted to her friends about how great of a lover Trump was. The moment the news broke, everyone in New York City was quick to comment on Trump's tangled personal life. For weeks, the media couldn't get enough. The city's ravenous appetite for controversy was sated, as every detail of Trump's deteriorating marriage to Ivana and his public affair with Marla were featured prominently in the news. But the famous Aspen showdown a few months prior had been the scene of the actual drama. In December 1989, Trump planned the perfect family vacation by taking Ivana and their 3 children to a luxurious Colorado ski resort. The problem arose when Trump extended an invitation to his wife, Marla, to visit Aspen as well. Nothing beats going on a romantic getaway with your wife and having a hidden lady follow you around. The chance meeting between Ivana and Marla was pure coincidence. Unfortunately, the meeting was not pleasant. Realizing the identity of the young blonde woman approaching her ruined what appeared to be an ordinary ski day for Ivana. It was after the brief altercation that Ivana knew her marriage was over. After that day, there was no way that they could ever get along again. Trump filed for divorce in February 1990, a mere 2 months following the chaos at Aspen. The press loved covering Marla and Ivana's feud like it was a soap opera. While Marla rose to fame as Trump's new leading lady, Ivana attempted a fresh start. For those anticipating a fairy tale resolution, however, the events that followed served more as a plot twist. Neither Donald nor Marla were going to have a happy ending. It wouldn't be long until their relationship was as problematic as the last. The news that Donald Trump and Marla Maples were getting married shocked many. After his public and contentious divorce from Ivana, many predicted that Trump would tie the knot soon after. Considering the financial toll of his first divorce, this became even more apparent. Ivana went through more than just a breakup. The tabloids covered it extensively, with accusations, power struggles, and a massive settlement that rendered everyone speechless. The court case alone could have been a soap opera. During their divorce proceedings, rumors circulated that Trump had barred Ivana from using her office at the Plaza Hotel. As a result, they got into a contentious legal battle over the legality of 4 separate prenuptial agreements that they had revised during their marriage. A media frenzy ensued as this unfolded. For 11 consecutive days, Ivana Trump and Marla appeared on the front pages of New York newspapers, and for 3 months in a row, gossip writer Liz Smith chronicled their every move. The love triangle and subsequent devastating breakup were huge hits. In December 1990, after the divorce was finalized, Ivana received a settlement befitting a queen. In addition to an apartment in Trump Plaza, a 14-room mansion in Connecticut, and $14 million, she also received the privilege of using Mar-a-Lago for 1 month annually. A snag, though, was present. Ivana was required to sign a strict non-disclosure agreement as part of the deal, which forbade her from discussing their marriage in public without first obtaining Trump's consent. They could be certain that their dirty laundry would remain hidden from view for many years to come. Therefore, Trump's decision to marry Marla with a modicum of caution was not unexpected. Trump insisted on a very stringent prenuptial agreement before they said "I do." It was significantly more stringent than the prenups he had signed with Ivana, and it ensured that he would still have control of his empire in the event that things went wrong again. As soon as the legal formalities were finalized, Trump and Marla were prepared to tie the knot. However, we soon learned that marriage was not without its challenges. 3 years after his tumultuous divorce from Ivana, Trump wed Marla in December 1993. As Trump and Marla made their way down the aisle, it appeared as though the tension had finally subsided. The Plaza Hotel, which was owned by Trump, hosted the massive wedding. Notable figures, corporate tycoons, and socialites numbering in the thousands showed up. Assuming you were unaware of the challenges that existed behind the scenes, it appeared as if it were straight out of a fairy tale. They were just too thrilled and in love to tie the knot at the end. Their already born daughter Tiffany was the driving force behind their marriage. It was also far from a romantic scene when Trump found out Marla was pregnant. He wasn't in a good mood or even considering a name for the newborn. According to reports, he was taken aback and unsure of his next move. Even though Trump wasn't entirely on board with Marla's plans to have a baby, she still appeared very excited about it. There was a lot going on for Trump at the time, including pressure from businesses, constant media scrutiny, and the aftermath of an affair that had been in the news for years. According to Marla, he reevaluated his priorities in life after the horrific shooting on the Long Island Railroad in December 1993. He then decided to pop the question of marriage to her. The situation is more complicated than it initially appeared due to the events that preceded it, although it sounds nice from the outside. From the outside, their wedding appeared to be the beginning of a beautiful new chapter in their lives. Those who looked closely, though, could see that cracks were appearing. "I do" wasn't going to magically fix their relationship, especially since Trump wasn't completely on board with becoming a dad, and their relationship had already been through a lot. Their strained relationship worsened as the things they had been putting off never went away. Ignoring them is becoming increasingly difficult. Marla would elaborate on the problems with the marriage later on, but the reality is that it was bound to fail from the beginning. Nothing was used to construct it. Reliability and affection. Time, events, and external pressure all played a role. And once you have that, everything will crumble. The marriage of Marla Maples and Donald Trump was bound to be disastrous. When we consider the past, it becomes clear why. Controversy and tabloid stories united two people who were polar opposites. The fact that their lives were incompatible ultimately drove a wedge between them. Marla was seeking something more profound and consistent with her small-town principles, while Trump was constantly seeking power and success. They were occupying the same house but leading completely separate lives. Trump genuinely belonged to New York. He was raised in Queens by a father who instilled in him the values of winning, the importance of business as a battle, and the correlation between wealth and physical property. He had already amassed a massive real estate empire and was widely regarded as the city's most powerful figure when he crossed paths with Marla. He had to constantly maintain an air of delusion while juggling deals, appearances before the media, and his own personal life. Marla, where are you? She belonged to another planet entirely. Life was simple, and everyone cared deeply for one another in her rural Georgia hometown of Koha, where she spent her childhood. Her upbringing in a modest religious household instilled in her a deep respect for humanity, faith, and the importance of personal relationships. Everything about Trump's extremely competitive world was completely different from this. Their dissimilarities may have added intrigue initially, but they quickly became a serious problem. Quite early on, the fissures were visible. As usual, Trump prioritized his work and remained focused on expanding his business. While he relished the chaos and constant scrutiny of major deals, Marla yearned for something more grounded and genuine. However, the intention was never for being with Trump to be emotional or peaceful. It was only done for aesthetic purposes, and she would never be satisfied with that. Things were already tense before Trump's history of infidelity and failed marriage added fuel to the fire. He had been through it all with Ivana, so even after getting married to Marla, everything remained important to him. Business remained his primary area of interest. Though he cherished his children, he was never the type to take it easy on them. He wasn't the partner Marla had hoped for. He didn't see her or be there for them. He was more concerned with landing his next big deal than he was with building a life for her when they were married. The reports, though, dealt the final blow to an already fragile marriage. The disintegration of Donald and Marla Trump's marriage was accelerated by one of the most contentious incidents involving the relationship. A disturbing incident involving Trump bodyguard Spencer Wagner and his mistress Marla Wagner made headlines in 1996. According to reports, the alleged event occurred at the Trump property in Mar-a-Lago, where the couple frequently vacationed. The events of that night became a hotly debated topic, contributing to the strain on their marriage. First things first, at 4 in the morning, on a deserted beach where nobody else seemed to be, a watchman from the police department approached a lifeguard stand on April 16, 1996, and noticed Wagner seated nearby, according to the incident report. Wagner claimed to have been alone until a woman emerged from the woods when questioned further. Marla Maples, who is Trump's wife, was that woman. Reporters went absolutely bonkers when the news broke. Talk shows enjoyed speculating about what transpired that night, and tabloids ran stories about it on their front pages for days. Both Marla and Wagner insisted that they were innocent and that the whole thing was an accident. A police officer suddenly appeared on the beach, she claimed, interrupting her private bathroom break. According to Wagner, who echoed her denial, they had engaged in nothing improper. Even those who denied it couldn't silence the rumors. The claims were strengthened by the fact that Trump fired Wagner without warning 4 months after the event. Many assumed that Marla and Wagner were just scratching the surface of the story. In a subsequent interview with a newspaper, Wagner admitted his guilt and confirmed that something had transpired that night. According to him, he and Marla were engaging in passionate kissing on the beach when the officer approached them and announced, "Our passion boiled over and we made love." This revelation added further scandal to an already troubling situation. Mary Miller, Wagner's ex-wife, ultimately recounted the events in her own words. Wagner, according to Miller, had confided in her that he and Marla had never cheated on each other. His alternative was to accuse Marla of being insane and the one who was after him. According to Miller, Wagner informed her about Marla's actions, detailing how she would occasionally attempt to forcefully drag him into a bedroom at the estate. Miller added that Wagner had characterized Marla as a hedonistic Mar-a-Lago party animal. The story had a terrible effect on Wagner. He suffered greatly from mental illness as a result of the relentless media scrutiny and the difficulty he had obtaining employment following Trump's firing. Miller claims that he was deeply affected and emotionally broken by the combination of receiving bad news and being unemployed. Tragically, Wagner passed away from an overdose on January 1, 2012. The fallout from this scandal will be felt for quite some time. Things in Marla and Trump's marriage became even more complicated as a result of this scandal. On the flip side, Wagner saw it as a disastrous trend's beginning. As far as the rest of the world was concerned, it was simply another episode of Donald Trump's unstable personal life. Information regarding the agreement that Marla Maples and Donald Trump had prior to their brief marriage finally leaked out to the public years after their marriage ended. It ended in a less than ideal manner, to put it mildly. Leaked terms state that Marla would receive $1 million 0 cents upon the dissolution of the marriage after 5 years, with an additional million to be used toward the purchase of a house. While that amount may seem substantial to the average person, it seemed like a pittance compared to the over $25 million 0 cents in cash and assets that Trump's first wife, Ivana, received following their divorce. Signing that prenup wasn't really Marla's intention, as she hinted later. The contract was a major issue for her before the wedding, she explained in an interview, and the only reason she signed it was because she assumed they would discuss it again after the ceremony. Unfortunately, they didn't, and that hurt her. After they made this seemingly insignificant statement, people started to question if their marriage was always bound to fail, due to its reliance on paperwork rather than love and trust. However, the provisions in the prenup that appeared overly specific were the ones that caused people to wonder. Trump committed to covering child support payments. Tiffany was given to their daughter, but with a condition. The funding would be terminated if Tiffany secured a full-time job, enlisted in the military, or became a member of the Peace Corps. Yes, you read it correctly. You won't often see a prenup including a Peace Corps rule. It also led many to question Trump's sincere desire for absolute power. It became apparent that they had been extremely frugal right from the beginning when their marriage started to fall apart. Prefer their divergent aims. The deal's unjust conditions and Marla's subsequent regret over it all suggested that their relationship may have been more about preserving Trump's fortune than forming a solid, lasting bond.